Well, the pandemic was a black swan moment, you know. You we've never seen that before. Well, I'm talking about modern times, and I'm not talking about
Yeah.
back in the days.
I
But
think in a couple of years' time, we'll just say swan. Yeah, the way things are going.
the way things, the wokeness is
Yeah, but
well. You might. I'm not gonna
I
say
can
you're
take
wrong on
money.
this one because you might have a point there.
Yo,
Oh man.
yeah.
Okay, guys. Think it's time for the first chapter.
Where do we begin?
So, big tech has had quite uh, a quite tough last few quarters,
Yeah.
you can say, with with Shopify, the layoffs from Shopify, Twitter, Meta, and a couple of others, which started already early last year. In order to refresh your memory, we have selected a couple of videos which we are going to look at first. And please let us know if you can hear the audio.
It's not the only company doing layoffs. Lyft, Stripe, and Open Door all announced this week they're going to be cutting their staff. For other companies that are not doing layoffs, but they're not hiring either. Among them are Qualcomm and Amazon, which says it's putting a pause on hiring, quote, new incremental hires. Even Apple's reportedly freezing hiring because of concerns about the economy slowing. And we continue to see that list, especially of tech companies, pausing or cutting jobs growing longer.
So that's the first one. This was in November, and you could already see that Apple announces a hiring stop
Are
or pause,
Qualcomm
as they call it. Amazon also said we are pausing our hiring, and Lyft already had fired a couple of people. You would be surprised how many layoffs were last year, by the way. I have a list. We will go through it later on. So
It's a
please
long list.
stay. It's a very long list.
Long list. Yeah.
Some did a spin the block, came back and fired again. You would be surprised. So that was the announcement in November. We have also basically the one from Meta.
Meta laying off about 13% of its workforce on Wednesday. That comes out to around 11,000 employees. Yahoo Finance's Ali Garfinkel had the opportunity to speak to some of those now former Meta employees. And Ali, what did you learn from talking to them?
Hi, Shauna. Yeah, what I learned was that they all felt, in many cases, completely blindsided. Now, this is a little surprising given that the ways in which we know the company was struggling. But the messaging they were getting internally was that layoffs were not being considered by management at all. That, of course, started to change over the weekend. And what a lot of them described was a shifting work environment. Things started to be a little tense and people stopped working as much. One employee even said to me that they stopped working because they weren't sure if they were going to be there on Thursday. So that was the environment they were operating in. And how did we get
She pulled the plug on. She pulled the plug. She said, "I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna take the risk. I'm gonna let anybody decide my destiny. Take it in my own hands."
Yeah, it's a 1 minute, so I'm not gonna continue that. But that's basically what you have with. Wait a second, was this? Well, it's a bit
here,
longer.
right? I'd love to reference what Mark Zuckerberg himself said, which is that he got this wrong. At the beginning of COVID, it looked like the digital ad market was going to speed up. And this is what he said, right? At the start of COVID, the world rapidly moved online and led to the surge of e-commerce. And the surge of e-commerce led to outsized revenue growth. Many people predicted this would be a permanent acceleration that would continue even after the pandemic ended. I did too, so I made the decision to significantly increase our investments. Unfortunately, this did not play out the way I expected. The bottom line here, Shauna, is that we're doing this on a day when that actually in the markets is the most optimistic we've seen tech in a moment. But having spent the week talking to these Meta employees, stock up 10% today, right? It's still really hard to feel optimistic about where Meta is headed, and they certainly were not optimistic either.
Yeah, certainly an unfortunate situation for 11.
Well, wouldn't surprise me if you were fired. You wouldn't be very optimistic about where they are heading.
No. And it was what I just realized is that I don't know if you can recall, but in 2020, when we had the whole staying at home due to the pandemic,
On COVID.
on COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the tech companies blew up.
Yeah. All the stocks.
All the stocks went up, and
You will look at that as well later on.
okay, cool. So that's to me. It's probably it went too. It was too big of a growth, or it was a momentum thing, and now it's heading back to normal. But we'll discuss it later.
Well, the pandemic was a black swan moment, We've never seen that before. Well, I'm talking about modern times, and I'm not talking about back in the days.
I think in a couple of years' time, we'll just say swan. Yeah, the way things are going.
The way things, the wokeness is. Well, you might. I'm not gonna say you're wrong on this one because you might have a point there.